Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Psycho-Cybernetics and the 11 Forgotten Laws. So these are two of my favorite resources when it comes to manifesting, to envisioning our future and creating the future in the present time. So this is an excerpt from my book, which is called The Love Attraction Manual. Been talking about it for months here. It took me a long time to do all these illustrations because I just wanted to have them just right. So it is almost finished. I'm literally going through the final editing process, and it's going to be a journal that you can fill out for yourself. As I said, writing out your own future in the present moment. So this is a little excerpt from that material. So another great resource for the left brain perspective is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, MD. He coined the term Psycho-Cybernetics to mean steering your mind to a productive, useful goal so you can reach the greatest port in the world, peace of mind. The mind operates as a goal-striving mechanism, also known as a cybernetic system. The mechanism is impersonal, and it will work toward any goal that the mind holds up, whether it be positive or negative or somewhere in between. Dr. Maltz was a plastic surgeon who noticed a very interesting phenomenon. It seemed that, for some of his patients, the scalpel was a magical tool. They would emerge from surgery and manifest a completely different and significantly improved life for themselves. For others, the surgery seemed to have no effect. They would continue along a pathway of sorrow and mediocrity despite changing the problem with their physical appearance that they had identified. So after years of noticing this polarity among his patients, he started to wonder what the difference was between the two groups. Thousands and thousands of case studies brought him to an interesting conclusion. The magic key is self-image. If the patient had adopted a new self-image with their surgery, they would begin creating a new and better life for themselves. If not, they would continue down the same self-destructive pathway that they were on. So the self-image is basically a blueprint for a person's possibilities in life. It is very hard to achieve something that is outside of your self-image. So it's very important to acknowledge here that self-image is not reality. It is a fabrication of our minds. Dr. Maltz reminds us also of an interesting truth. We've all been hypnotized. Hypnosis is so powerful that it can convince a weightlifter that he cannot lift a pencil. And we've been hypnotized by many different things about ourselves, or we've been hypnotized to believe many different things about ourselves and the world around us. Fortunately, we can change these beliefs, and if need be. And that's what this book is all about. So one of the remarkable conclusions that science has come to is that the brain cannot tell the difference between actual experiences and vividly imagined experiences. For this reason, the things that we imagine consistently on a daily basis will often manifest in our physical reality. So this is something that is really well known by high-level performers from a variety of fields, most notably professional athletes, Olympic athletes, have really preached and studied about the value of visualization, especially if you're doing something that is challenging. So you can do reps without actually physically doing the reps, which is quite a remarkable thing, quite magical thing to be able to do. So the challenge here basically is to be able to conjure up a clear enough vision of the thing that you're manifesting to be able to put yourself there mentally consistently. And I would recommend that this is a multi-sensory experience. So not just, and I know especially for some people, it's actually quite hard to see, visualize in images. So it could be an experience of how this thing is going to feel, or how it's going to taste, or how it's going to smell, and putting together the various, imagining the various sensory experiences that you're going to have that are going to go along with this manifestation, and especially pairing it with the emotions that you will feel. It really, I've heard this from many different sources, which is that if you're just thinking it and you're just thinking it and you're just thinking it, but you don't couple it with the feeling that you're trying to create, is far less effective and in fact largely ineffective. So it has to be coupled with the feeling that you're creating. All right, so this idea of being able to intentionally manifest circumstances can be quite dizzying at times. If we truly have the potential to create whatever we desire, that's a heavy weight to hold. In fact, the idea is simply too much for a lot of people. But it is not a free-for-all. There are rules. In fact, there are laws. Here I will reference the 11 Forgotten Laws. I received this lesson from Bob Proctor, one of my favorite law of attraction teachers. He will be the first to tell you that he did not invent or discover these laws. He is merely the conduit for the information, and the same is true for me. I'm simply passing on the good word. And if you've been watching my channel, you'll notice that I've shared this quite a few times. I'm going to keep sharing it, not simply for you guys, but also for myself. It's a constant reminder that this is how energy moves. And if we can be super aware of these laws, we can create with more power and efficiency. So number one is the law of thinking. What your dominant thoughts are, you become. Number two, the law of supply. There's an infinite supply that almost magically appears if you ask in the proper way. Source energy is infinitely abundant. You are source energy, so your nature is abundance. The law of attraction, also known as the law of momentum. We were born to expect good things, and when we expect them, they will happen. The same is true in reverse. Remember, worrying is praying for something that you don't want. So the law of receiving. Number four, give freely without worrying if you will have enough for yourself. When we give from a place of love and abundance, we will always receive more and better than we can imagine. Law of increase, also known as the law of praise or appreciation. What are you praising, or what are you complaining about? It will increase. Number six, the law of compensation. We get back what we put out in every way. We must be it before we can see it. The law of non-resistance. When we experience problems, we do not put extra suffering or negative emotion into these problems. Accept reality and move forward with your vision in mind. No time for ruminating, people. Always a reminder to myself. So, law of forgiveness. We must forgive ourselves and those around us. The law of sacrifice. We must give up something in order to gain something else. Our choices become reality. Number 10, the law of obedience. Surrendering to the universe is a beautiful feeling. Live your life in tune with your inner guide. So a lot of really high-level people who seem to be doing very well playing the manifestation game are people who have kind of gone past this state of like constant extreme effort, and rather are in more of a state of flow and ease and grace and flow. There's two ways to do it. I know that some people are all about the hustle and the grind and the push, 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 trying to create stuff. But that style doesn't really work for everybody. There's another way, which is more in the flow of the river. So allowing the energy of the universe, allowing the power, the force of spirit to create through you, as I said, with ease and grace and flow. All right, where are we at? The final one, number 11, law of success. Whether you believe that you can or you believe that you can't, you're right. So with regards to manifesting love, there are a couple of these laws that are of the utmost importance. The law of receiving and the law of forgiveness. One must be willing to love first, rather than waiting to be loved, and then offering it in return. This is a courageous and beautiful act. It's the only way to take active control. Somebody has to love first. So the other is the law of forgiveness. Especially in the area of love, it is very easy to hold on to pain. One of the great spiritual lessons is learning to accept and let go of the past. Michael Singer's work, The Untethered Soul, is a wonderful read on this subject. He speaks about how many people build their entire personalities around trying to avoid being hurt emotionally. So really think about that, really pay attention to that. People build their entire personalities around trying to prevent being hurt emotionally. Does that resonate with you? How much of that behavior do you see within yourself? For me, I can see a lot of the things that I've done in the past have been like he said, kind of building a life around trying to avoid being hurt. So they build complex structures of defense, denial, and avoidance, literally but unconsciously shaping their lives around one or a few traumatic moments from the past. The antidote here is to accept and embrace the fact that there will be pain. It means that you are alive. When we face these emotional disturbances, we have two choices: to close, defend, and contract, or to open, accept, and release, relax. Acceptance and openness can allow us to experience and move through the disturbance rather than resisting it. Closing and contracting actually traps the pain within us, causing the phenomenon of triggers. Our bodies become a physical record of the experiences of our lives. So a person gets triggered when their past traumas get touched, and they continue to close, defend, and resist. Over time, it will create emotional and physical illness. This can be very painful, so you can see why many people structure their lives, both consciously or unconsciously, around avoiding these disturbances. However, it doesn't work. The more you try to resist and close down, the more the disturbances intensify. I started to untangle this knot for myself in my 30s. I'm 37 now. And it has been very liberating and powerful thus far. So since pain is a given with human life, developing a practice for moving through it and integrating it is worthwhile. In fact, many people believe that this is the only way to true liberation. This practice involves understanding that the real you, your true self, is not your thoughts or your emotions or your personality. Your true self is infinite awareness, observing itself through the perspective of a human experience. So if one can get to a place where they are observing the dramas of life from this perspective, everything becomes a lot easier. It is a practice of identifying with the eternal self rather than the finite mortal frame. This point allows for a more impartial observation of the highs and lows of material existence. It's important to understand something else about manifestation and about seeking partnership. If you are seeking external conditions with the idea that you'll be happy when ... this is a never-ending pursuit. So once you start to fulfill more and more of your desires, you realize that their fulfillment is not the secret to happiness. However, there is great wisdom within this practice. One of the keys to this work is creating the feeling that you are seeking from your manifestation before it arrives in your physical reality. In other words, you can intentionally experience the feeling without getting the thing. Highlight this point. That's right. You can intentionally experience the feeling without getting the thing. This is back to what Dr. Maltz is talking about in Psycho-Cybernetics. You can create the feeling in your mind's eye before you get the thing. You can put yourself in the emotion that you're connecting with the manifestation that you're creating, and therefore making yourself more likely to attract those circumstances, because you are like a magnet, in a sense, a vibrational magnet, so that your vibrational output is attracting back to you experiences that are in some way in affinity with or compatible with the vibration that you're putting out. So, in other words, in other words, this practice is magnetic and autotelic. It attracts the experiences that you're envisioning, and it is intrinsically beneficial. You are raising your vibration to be in alignment with the vision that you are creating. The following is the lesson that I received from Teal Swan. A high vibration is an expanded state of awareness. A low vibration is a contracted state of awareness. It is impossible to hold a high vibration and focus on something that makes you feel bad. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you listening to these words that I'm speaking out loud. If you'd like to see more of this, please give it a like, a comment, a subscription to my channel will help me to reach you and help me to reach more people like you. Other than that, if you'd like to see my visual artwork, check out www.narwhal, that's GNARWHAL.com, or on my Instagram, which is AlecFallHamilton_art. That's where you can see all the paintings that I'm doing and all the ones that I have done. That's it, everybody. Done.